All right, day 11 of my 40-day water fast. Um, well, let's see, where should we begin? Last night, after the recording I did, late last night, I ended up going out to a club, a nightclub. Again, this is probably not recommended for being 10 days into a water fast. Most people are just like acting like, they're just crawling along in the trenches, just barely limping along. By the time they get to day 10, they just barely made it, and they're just like, no. But I'm just like, screw that. It's, I think a lot of people are over exaggerating how rough things are. So, a friend of mine, he's out of town, haven't seen him in a long time. He was only in town for just a few days. And so he said, "Hey, I'm going to the nightclub." So I said, "All right." So it was Gareth Emery. And so, admittedly, I'm actually posting these videos about a day delayed just to give myself a little bit of a buffer. So that's also why last night I had posted with the date of the show, Garrett, with Gareth Emery. So that was one of the shots, just in the upper deck level shooting down. So shot about 10 minutes worth. So that show was amazing, and it was interesting being on 10 days water fast, um, being in a nightclub, and I was still able to dance pretty well, but admittedly, it was like slower to like moderate level of movement that I was able to do. But I mean, I could also, there's times where I just felt compelled to just do more, you know, more rapid type of movement style that I like doing. And I could like ramp it up a little, for a certain period of time, but it was short lived because I could feel my body was just like, oh, okay, we're starting to push a little too hard. And then so I had to back off. But at that point, so then I just started playing with it and just like, okay, if I feel like it's starting a little too much, then just slow it down and then just practice doing, a slower rendition movement of the dancing for that, for whatever the speed of the music was at the time. And so I found that overall, my energy was like felt like moderate energy level throughout most, through the night. Uh, we're there from like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And again, everyone doing fasting would be like, oh, you're supposed to be in bed 12 hours a day and then 12 hours just lying flat on the ground and doing nothing. I mean, that's one people's philosophy. But I think those are just, a lot of those people are just, I don't know, I was going to say something. Some are just kind of like too conservative, or a little lazy at heart or something. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm experimenting on myself. I'm testing myself. I'm seeing what myself and my body are made of and capable of. And so I know everyone's like, I think there's two schools of thought. There's like, oh, you need to be super, super gentle, on yourself. And that's the only way to do it. And anything more, if you push yourself even a little bit too much, it's too hard, and you're going to get hurt and all that stuff. That feels very like infantilism and babying, and I just feel like it's not healthy, and that it's not it doesn't make sense in terms of the overall length of time humans have been on Earth. If we were all super gentle and we couldn't survive anything beyond, we'd all be extinct already. We'd all be dead. So clearly that can't be true. Um, and then there's the other camp who's just like, you gotta always be testing your limits to see what you're made of. And that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of camp. At this point, I probably lean more towards the second camp at this point. Um, but just knowing, but at the same time, respecting when it's time to just like, you can read, you're reading the signs, you're noticing how you're feeling, you're noticing, hey, you know what? It's one thing to push yourself to the limit because you're truly like trying to like either grow or overcome something, or something that was so important that it needed to get done, and you needed to push yourself past your limits kind of thing, or past your perceived limits. See, that's the thing. Most people, the limits they describe are either one, some made up limit that they made up in their head and has nothing verified, or two, they just read it somewhere from someone else who only read it somewhere from someone else who wrote something based on some subjective thing, and that has actually not related to them at all. And so, like, most things that you're told that are the limits aren't really the limits. That's the reality. They talk about, oh, after 3 days of no drinking water, you'll die. I mean, I've gone at least 5 days without water, and it wasn't comfortable, but I didn't die. I tried to I did a dry fast before it was like 5 days. Yeah, for me, about 5 days, I was like, okay, this is feeling pretty shitty. So, but this whole notion of like these limitations, the fine print, the asterisk at the end is basically these, if you do pass this point, you could die. The actual people they're describing in that situation are not people who are of normal health or normal ability, or of even like what healthy state. Think like some invalid person who is already super fragile and on the verge of dying. Yeah, maybe for them it would be dangerous. So you have to put that in consideration. So, yeah, it reminds me of like one of my good friends. Yeah, he talks about one of the best ways to stay, especially for men, one of the best things to do to keep yourself sharp and to help keep your adrenaline, or not adrenaline, testosterone levels elevated, and just be more, just, yeah, like, just keep your eye on the ball kind of thing, is to, you should, as a man, you need to face death on a regular basis in some form or fashion. We've basically created a society where most of us just live a completely coddled and overly safe environment, where we're essentially living as like safe little children, never actually facing any real danger, and then facing any real threat is so rare that when it does happen, we don't know how to deal with it. We're so shocked. And as opposed to, he's recommending, and to me, and it made sense too, is like, yeah, you should face death at least once a year. Once or more, at least once a year, minimum. Something that could have gotten you killed, to where it like shakes you up a bit. You have some close call with death, and that is actually more in alignment with what being a human was for most of the time we were on Earth. Like, humans, the normal way of life was to face death on like probably a daily basis through most of human history. It's only in the last few hundred years that things have gotten a lot more, civilized, I guess the way we're saying it, way you would say it. And so, we've been wired, we've evolved to be really good at evading death, that facing threats and then escaping those threats. And so I think it's something really important. So I don't know, maybe that's quite an interesting tangent, but those are my thoughts right now. So I'm not about following exactly what prescribed rules are of what, I'll listen to what a safety guideline is, and I might start that as like an initial area of, like a starting point, but I'd never end at the safety recommendations of what different people say, because it's usually just, it's their opinion, and it's their very conservative, or I don't know, scared opinion. I mean, clearly there's some things where it's some certain type of drug or something that has a very specific dosage range or something like that. And then, of course, it's like playing with it with close to the margins kind of thing. But in most other things in life, it's generally speaking, whatever you're told is the line, is the limit. The real limit is probably way, 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 way past that. And it's up to you to find out what it is. And last time I did a 40-day water fast, I found that at the time my limit basically was 40 days. So, but this time I started off approximately almost 10 pounds heavier than I did last time. So I'm counting on that to give me an extra little higher odds that I can do it again, because there should be a bit of an extra buffer, but I could be wrong. I don't know. And so, anyways, back to the nightclub. It was, so I certainly am not trying to live out how, I'm not trying to follow how someone I'm definitely not following along what's recommended. I'm not recommending doing what I was doing. I just trying to do this fast while simultaneously still living my life. And whereas sometimes they're like, no, you must completely stop everything else and then do this. Yeah, but that's like the same thing with people like, you should go off and go to the top of a mountain and meditate, for a year. I mean, it's just not really compatible with normal life these days. So I'm just trying to do both and just notice how far I can go with it. And I'm discovering that I can actually operate pretty well in a totally fasted ketosis state, and then, be dancing like wild man at 10 days of no eating, and for the most part, it felt really good, like I said, I didn't have the high level of energy that I would normally have, but I had the low to moderate range of energy with small little spurts into high energy. But then I had to be weary of keeping up with doing any high energy movement, or a lot of moving elevation change, and like a lot of getting down low and going up and down with my hips, my thighs, that starts needing a lot more energy, and that's where I would start feeling a little winded much quicker. And so I could only do a little bit of that before I'd have to slow that down and then go back to little slower movements, slower, shorter movements, and then just kind of do some other things for a little while. Maybe go back to the bar and grab another bottle of water, stuff like that. But I'm glad I went. Had a great time with my friend, you know, um, and yeah, and made some new friends, and it was awesome. So yeah, so you know that video, so anyways, I posted it like yesterday. So if you already saw that, great. If not, you can go ahead and look in the other list and list of videos, and you can see it was posted. Was it yesterday? What? Yeah, for the right. Did I post it yesterday? Anyways, but like I said, I'm actually posting this particular videos a 1 day delay because occasionally something might come up and cause me to have to do the recording a little later or something, or just it just gives me a little peace of mind just to know that I can make sure at least one video is posted every day, and so I have at least 1 day buffer. So that's why this video is coming out after the video of the 1015 Folsom was already posted. So anyways, let me just jump to the numbers. All right, this is kind of funny. Let's see. So weight this morning was 202.4, which is identical to the weight that was on day 9, which is 202.4. But then, so on day 8, it was 203.8. And then on day 10, it was 203.8. So basically between day 8 to today, it went from 203.8 to 202.4, 203.8 to 202.4. I don't know. It seems like my body likes those specific numbers for some reason. It just, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. It was just this back and forth, back and forth. One step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. But then eventually ended on one step forward, but basically just back to where it was 2 days ago. Yeah, in the end, I'm always just, from past experience, it always seems to average. It's the couple of fasts I've done, it always averaged out to about 1.2 pounds a day. So when I see an average of 1.7 pounds a day, I'm thinking, there's probably going to be a few days in here that are going to be flatline, but I don't really see much where it has a total rebound backwards, but occasionally it can happen. But it was probably because I went to bed so late. And going out to the nightclub, then getting home, and then just being super kind of wired up from it. And then just music, and just continue to listen to some music and decompressing and stuff. I think I didn't get home from the club until I think a little after 3, and I didn't actually doze off until about 4 a.m., which is pretty damn late to be going, pretty damn late. So 4 a.m. But then I had to work this morning. So, no, sorry. I went to my martial arts class this morning, which I had not been in for close to 2 months because the rain. We've been hosting our class outside, outdoors in this park near my teacher's where he lives, and it basically had been raining, or it was holiday. It was some holiday, or it was raining, and so we hadn't been in class for a good 2 months. So today was the first morning that I actually got to class. So that was really awesome. I was a little worried that I was not going to be able to wake up, given that I was falling asleep at 4 and was pretty tired. And then I woke up at 9:35, so only got you know, a little over 5, 5-ish. I went to bed at 4, but I don't fall asleep exactly at 4. So I probably only got really about 5 hours with being really tired. So, it wasn't optimal. But I felt awake enough to drag myself out of bed and got myself to class and got myself woken up well enough. And so got through class. But then I ended up, after class was over, ended up heading back home, went to sleep for at least a good hour and a half, and then went to work on this organizing job that I was doing some assembly, disassembly work, putting together some desks and putting together shelving and TV stand and stuff like that on a moving job. So yeah, and then that worked until about 9:30 this evening. So that was pretty late night to be working on an organizing moving job till 9:30 at night. That's not very, that typically doesn't happen. So and then afterwards, well, okay, let me see the other numbers. I did my pH, which seemed to drop a little bit, 5.75. And the ketones, I'm not sure if the strip didn't look right or something. It looked weird. I think maybe it was a bad strip or something. So I did not have a ketone for it. So I'll measure that again. And yeah, so well, let me do the other real quick. Let's see. So all right, so these, I mean, I was kind of scratching them a little bit earlier. It just sometimes they're itchy, and I just can't help it. I have to scratch them a little bit. I try not to scratch them too hard, just as lightly as possible, just to subside the itchiness. Yeah, so it's coming along. Like I said, I'm thinking day 14 is the day that I'm gonna see definitely some remission, but only 3 more days to go, and they're still fairly prominent, so I'm guessing it's probably not going to be until day like 20 or something like that before I actually see these, really recede and really disappear. So yeah, so right now I'm thinking day 20. Another 9 days from now is probably what it's really going to take to see these totally heal up. So we'll see. But yeah. So yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along. There we go. So yeah. Damn. But on the same token, I'm actually, it's interesting. It's almost, I'm almost like more like oddly grateful now about this psoriasis, because honestly, I'm not sure if I necessarily would have started this fast if I didn't have this constant freaking reminder staring back at me every morning when I'd get dressed, as I'm putting on pants, or really, like, the thought of wearing shorts, and then I'd look at my shins and I'd be like, well, shorts aren't an option. I have to wear pants. I have to wear sweats or something, because I can't show these things because they look like I'm some burn victim, or I'm some diseased individual or something. And so the constant healthy kind of shame of just like, what the heck? This is a red alert. I mean, literally a red alert, because it's just red patches. It's telling me that something is wrong here and I got to do something about it. And so I think, most people don't have obvious signs that their health, aside from being, just overweight, that they don't have certain clear signs like this, where, hey, I see it and it's annoying and I don't like how it makes me feel, and I got to actually take action on this. So yeah, so in that sense, when I think about it, if I didn't have those patches, there's a decent chance that I might not have started this fast, because that was a big push. Also a big push for why I wanted to do a long fast, because I knew that these are, pretty big, pretty inflamed patches on my shins here. So that's probably a sign that I've got a lot going on that's not working in my body right now, and that I need to do a major detox. And then, combine that with just not liking my weight composition. So I think it's the combination too, but definitely those patches were definitely in the list, was the priority, because I'm like, man, my health must be out of whack if I'm having gigantic psoriasis patches showing up my shins. Something's got to be really out of whack. It's because my body's telling me, and it's showing me. I mean, that's what most people having different diseases in their body. It's just their body telling them that there's something wrong. And, instead they're like, they want to fight the disease, but the disease is the thing that's telling them that you're doing something wrong, typically. So got the message, and now I'm just doing this fast. Although, I don't need to, I'm not following it by the book or whatever. So like tonight I was experimenting a little bit with, so I had the water, but then I was, I remember, reading about the, master cleanse, and then also like the snake juice diet, where he's got the salts, the sea salt, and then the no salt, and then cayenne pepper and things like that. And so I started experimenting with that, and I think was it last night? Might have been a little bit last night. I think first time I tried it. I think it was last night after I got back from the nightclub. I experimented with it a little bit, where I was like, I might be running low on the other electrolyte solution. So, but I got a good amount of the other salts to just manually put something together. So maybe let me just start experimenting with that now. And so as I was experimenting with it, I think I also just looked at, I remember putting the cayenne, and it kind of mixes things up a little bit. It's like, okay, have a little bit of spicy heat in the water, kind of, and it's supposed to helping with flushing out your system. Because right now, most of the time, I've pretty much just been going number one. I don't really, occasionally had here or there a little bit of bowel movement, but it was, they're easily, when you're going into a deep fast like this, once you get past so many days or a week or more, oftentimes that's it. You're not going to have another bowel movement for the rest of the time of the fast, because there's nothing else there's not enough to push out. But there's usually still some remnants in there. So I think doing the cayenne pepper, adding the cayenne pepper and upping the salt content of the water, causes you to have, as they call getting the shits kind of thing, and just like starts to force flush, clean out your system. And so you get kind of like a mild diarrhea kind of experience, which it's not pleasant, but you know, not going without any food for days and days is not exactly pleasant either. But you're doing it for a good cause, a long term better, to feel better, look better, um, and actually have a healthier body, later kind of thing. So willing to put up with the unpleasantness and the discomfort. So, and I think that'll also help to lighten the load, as we could put it. And yeah, so I don't know so then today I was experimenting with ratios. And so I was, but instead of using the cayenne pepper, I ended up using some crystal cayenne hot sauce, which was it only had 3 ingredients in it. It's just cayenne pepper, a little bit of distilled vinegar, and salt, and that's it. And no calories. So I was like, okay, I was gonna kind of stay away from all the vinegars, but it was like not major vinegar, um, so I'm just experimenting with it. I'm just gonna see how it goes. I'll see how it goes the next couple of days. So I just been making entire bottles, like this. Fill this up and then find the right ratio so I have the whole thing that's full of, the right level of saltiness and spiciness from the cayenne pepper. But I definitely noticed that the saltiness and the spiciness that really tastes good to me, drinking a decent amount of it, especially like this size. By the time I finish that, I'm probably gonna have to go to the bathroom, and it's not peeing, So, not pleasant, not great. So it's like it feels good, tastes good to me on the way down, but doesn't feel so good on the way out, kind of thing. And then plus the spiciness kind of burns a little bit as it's coming out. So I have to be a little weary on that. I know part of me is based on some research, stuff that I've read, that it's part of the total cleanse. Other things, even like I think plant paradox type of thing, it could be inflammatory. So it's one of those kind of testing it out right now and just seeing what happens. And so yeah, so my plan is just to try out this concoction for a few days, while simultaneously still mixing in, just drinking, I think just by balancing out by then just drinking entire bottles of just pure water, no salt added whatsoever. And then that way I'm having either a good amount of salt and then no salt. Not the product called no salt, but just the drinking water, just the filtered water. And so I'm thinking now I might get a second thermos, and then that way I just have a different color one. And then I just have one that's my salty, spicy one, and then one that's just my plain water one. And then when I'm out and working, I typically need to drink 2 of those when I'm out and about. And so it'll be better than me having to then bring my water filter pitcher along with me, which I have been doing, but it's kind of awkward and a little unusual and awkward to do that. So I'd much prefer just having two canisters of water. So I got my 2 liters of water, and then that should carry me through most of the day. So I found that I probably consume about a good, at least solid 2.5. Today was probably 3, solid 3 for sure. But there was a lot going on. I was, had martial arts class for That was a couple hours long, and then worked most of the day, and then I have to work again tomorrow, which reminds me, I gotta get to sleep. I gotta get to sleep like really, really soon now. So, yeah. So day 11. Well, let's see if I'm down below 202.4, or if I went back up to 203.8 again, and my body is just really playing games with me, because I'm just like, how could I still stay in the same range, you know, like 4 days in a row, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 days in a row, just basically stay in the same range, even though I'm not eating any food, I'm not consuming any calories. That would be really weird. But it's still, things are healing. I'm not consuming stuff. So if I'm not consuming all this food, that means I'm not having to process a bunch of crap and process things. And that means my body is still in a healing state. However it goes, it goes. But I think tomorrow, after I finish work, I'm definitely going to get to bed earlier. So, but, well, going to bed a little after midnight is better than staying up till 4, even though it was a lot of fun, and had a great time. So, all right, yeah, so that's it for now. I guess on to day 11, or no, sorry, day 12. On to day 12. All right, see ya.